What's going on, boys? Thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. There's been a lot going on lately, and I'm stuck somewhere between having too much to talk about and not having anything to talk about. I think the last video was a major video, and I think we have another major video brewing, but in the meantime, instead of just rotting and trying to figure out State of Decay 2, let's do a whatever video that is not totally a whatever video. Because I've been thinking about this one a bit lately. Everyone with half a brain recognized Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn and all of the Tough Crowd regulars was good for society. But what's interesting is when you look at people's reasons for why they think Tough Crowd was good for society, there's a lot of variation. And it's still 4th of July, and I can hear fireworks going off. That's very cool. 250th, let's talk about society and Tough Crowd. Lack of political correctness is one reason, because without that censorship, self-censorship or outside censorship, the truth can happen, the hideous truth. Having all the different perspectives on there is another one, and Tough Crowd was good about that. Getting all kinds of people on there. Like, you know, the more right-leaning and the broad selection of right-leaning people, but then they even had people like this dude, Judy Gold. They had Colbert on there at one point. Then you have the comedy purity camp. Patrice referred to it as pulling up skirts. A lot of people view comedy as one important yardstick of any civilization, and that's true. And one of the ways they kept that yardstick pure was by just humiliating hacks. And that's good for life, too, because hacks don't just exist in comedy. There are business hacks, there are charity hacks, there are trying to be fake nice hacks. Man, one little anecdote here. I had a phone conversation the other day with a dude from a separate nonprofit, and I never interacted with this dude before. I think he's new. And young, corporate-y, but he said some funny, mean shit in a polite way, and that was uplifting. Because you don't see that a lot. You don't see people even trying to be honest. And that's demoralizing for existence. And then even worse, maybe, well, I don't know if it's worse. It's bad in a different way. People who have nothing to be honest about. That's almost as bad. I'll say the people who could be honest but choose not to be are worse because they're rats. With the dude I was talking about, someone had been calling around making a lot of demands, and this dude called me almost immediately after the other dude called me and made his demands to me to get my thoughts on this, because he thought he was the only one they were doing it to, but he did this to a lot of people. And he essentially broke down why this dude is a dickhead and his demands are retarded, which is how you know he's new, because anyone who's been in nonprofits for a while would know just to write off this dude as a retard. Don't even devote the time analyzing it. And then I gave him another demand, or I told him about another demand this dude had made that he didn't make to this dude. And then the younger dude goes, well, I wish him luck with that. It's like Platoon, you've been here for a while, and you're not Elias, and you're not Sergeant Barnes. You're just enjoying the young blood getting put through the paces. Back to the reasons Tough Crowd was good for society. There are a lot of reasons, but I think I've found another one And it's a reason I like a lot. And I wish we would see more of, but I don't think we're allowed to do this. Tough Crowd was almost like a minorities or interest groups Olympics. You represent this background or this culture or this cause, and you get into the water with the sharks and see if you can swim. Because Tough Crowd, it was a lot like the O&A show when it was at its best. I think Anthony described it, or it might have been Bobby Kelly described it as the hand of doom spinning around, and who is it going to land on, who's about to get eviscerated. If you can hold your own at all, you make your entire identity and identity group look a lot better because it's competitive, and everyone in life will try to make everything not a competition, but everything is a competition. And even in these faux non-competitive environments, everybody is looking at who's good and who isn't. And if your side in this fight can compete, then your whole identity has a lot more ground to stand on. People are more likely to take you seriously because you're someone to be taken seriously. And I was thinking about this video when, I don't remember which episode it was, but Jim David was on there, who was always good. And this other younger gay guy. Gay in a different way. But it was kind of a gay episode. And I think the other two were DePaulo and Keith. And Keith is hit and miss, but Keith can be brutal. DePaulo, though, is the Grim Reaper of anything not picnic table plaid shirt conservative. And if memory serves, I'm pretty sure it was him because he went at them not mean, but mean, vicious. And they both, in their separate homosexual ways, their own genres, were able to hold their own and shoot back and have their own jokes. And it was a good show. Not just for what Jim David and the other dude, he looked like the guy from the GIF, you know, the sandy blonde hair dude, kind of tan white. He has short hair, he looks around and he opens his eyes wide and blinks a couple times. He looked like that dude with maybe the gayest normal person shirt I've ever seen. But it was more than, it was, when I say good for society, it was more than just different genres of gay proving that they can hold their own social or intellectual perimeters. It was more than that because you feel good about it. And do you know what it was? It was the same reason those kids carried Henry's mom's grocery bags home. It was respect. Patrice talked about this concept in relation to covertly racist white people at least a few times. Patrice didn't want white people to feel forced to like him and then for him to have to deal with them under those conditions. Because nothing real can happen in those conditions. And when nothing real can happen, nothing can be built. No good conclusion can be reached. All you're doing is poorly hiding a problem and allowing it to fester. However, when you do have these exchanges in which no holds are barred, you can start to get somewhere. Things can happen. And they might not go in the direction you think they will or think they should, but it's real. And it's real because of respect. Why do dudes who fight so often, well, not always, but often enough actually fight become friends? Why do nations that war with one another often become allies later? And not just because of the circumstances of whatever peace happened, but I mean culturally. Culturally, nations who previously have warred, for some reason, tend to get along better. I think it's because now you are taking them seriously for themselves, as themselves, in your mind. They aren't abstractions or simple roadblocks. These are people, and they've proven themselves to be people by sticking you between your ribs. In spite of everything, I'm still on select gay dude side and advanced lesbian side. But you feel better about everything when you take real swings at people and you get hit with real swings. Because respect has been established, communication and conflict is a form of communication. A real line of communication, an ultimate primal line of communication has been established. And now these are people and you can deal with them. And that process is impossible when phony respect or phony tolerance is enforced. That's the ultimate denial of communication or your mutual ability to recognize each other as people. You're barred from that. And then the problem stews and stews and stews until something ugly happens. And Tough Crowd was great for society, for the health of society, because it enacted this humanization by combat ritual in a fun way. You actually like when, on Tough Crowd, the comic you are rooting against hits you or your comic hard. You like that. I think also because it means not only is this respect happening, or maybe this is part of the respect process, but you are understanding and you're being understood. You love Patrice, probably, if you're watching this video. Women bug the shit out of you, but you like when a woman comic hits Patrice in a way that stings him or startles him, which happens sometimes. Louis C.K. bugs the shit out of me because he's not just holier than thou, he's holier than the holier than thous. I don't understand why people like him so much. Him or Bill Burr. But with Louis specifically, his turbo-liberal inanity, happy 4th of July again, was made bearable by the utter ugliness Louis could summon to defend himself or to make a point. Anyone who can be that effectively vicious can't be all bad. Or again, at least can be communicated with. And this is another thing, this isn't totally related. I've talked about this before, but it's been a while. Beware people who are good at being funny. Because I don't know why this is, but if a person is really funny, they can get away with a lot of fucked up shit. And I don't know why that is. Anyway, in our age of identity politics, a show like Tough Crowd would probably do even better or be even more impactful, more important than it was then. I think this was a Crea quote. In conflict, people find themselves or they find themselves lacking. And I'm pretty sure she was referring to civilizations as a whole, which fits into the identity thing. Tough Crowd was great for society in 100 ways. This was the one I thought about. It's all about respect and how respect can be established in a fun way, a positive way. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.